And the one interesting thing that I see that I'm sure there's been a huge change over the past, let's say 10 years. We'll give it like the, beginning of seltzer is storage space.
Yeah.
Like when you think about like where you used to have just like bottles and maybe cans of beer, now it's like you have to get rid of some of that to make room for the High Noons and the White Claws and the Mom Waters and all this. And like every year it's like more and more. So it's like, it's going to get really, really competitive. It probably already is super competitive to fight for like the little tiny sliver of the walk-in cooler or whatever it is.
It is the Wild West. If you think of a store, your local liquor store, your local grocery store that has the ability to sell liquor, think of them as a real estate agency or a state, and you walk in, the RTD space that we are being sold in is like the most competitive one, because right now, pretty much the entire industry is actually kind of flat. As if anything, it's going down. Like there are less people drinking today than there were 5 years ago. The younger generation is changing their habits, and a lot for the better, right? But if you think about that, right? So there's less of that, and at the same time, the one category that's carrying the entire industry right now is your RTD cocktails. So in all these stores, to your point, they used to have, rows and rows. They've got rows and rows of tequilas and wines and all these things. They had like a little section of these RTDs. Well, now, how do you go back into that store and say the RTD space is like beachfront property? Like, how do you get space on that? And even more than that is you're talking about a display. So like if you want to display on the floor, you're not only competing with the other RTDs, you're competing with the Jack Daniels of the world, the Jim Beams, the fine wines, like the Fireball, like everything. You got to try to get that space. It is really interesting right now. The whole industry is kind of, they're not really freaking out, but they're really trying to find their way. And you got a lot of these major stores, these major national chains that aren't quite sure what to do with these RTDs. Like, are they a fad? Are they here to stay? Who are the players? Like, there's thousands of brands to choose from for them. So how do they determine what they're going to bring in and what's going to turn?
Which is crazy because it's like, think about how long it's been Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, and then you can throw in like Michelob Ultra. There's only like 5 domestics that are like the real like tried and true, like in damn near every bar in America, I feel like.
Yes.
And it's like there are thousands of these, and it's gonna be like who can survive and like rise to the top where it's like, okay, the 3 RTDs that we're gonna have. I do see your point about it's so new. Like, okay, I'm 27, so 6 years ago when I started drinking and had my very first drink at the age of 21, because we're legal and responsible here, I feel like when you walk through the store, like, I feel like who was the first, like, ready to, like, was it like a Jack Daniel's hard punch or something? Like, something like that.
Yeah, probably like one of the down home punches or, like Mike's Hard Lemonade. You might be able to consider that, but like, really.
Four Loko.
I was going to say, Four Loko. Because White Claw had been around for several years before they really popped off. And
no
again,
way.
That was, like they just kind of faltered around, and the brand didn't start in 2018. That's just when it really went wild. And then all of a sudden people are like, so I want to drink beer, but I don't like the taste of beer.
I wonder who or what like sparked their rapid growth. Because like for that one, or maybe for those like 2 or 3 years, it was just like everywhere.
And I don't know, it'd be a good marketing site. I don't think I know the answer, but it definitely was. And it was probably to a degree. Like I said, once someone came up with the idea and they put it out there, all of a sudden people had a choice. They're like, well, I can drink beer, or I can drink this other thing that gives me beer vibes, but it doesn't taste like beer. It turns out there's a lot of people that like that. Mm-hmm. We're betting on that for us. I mean, that's what we're seeing in the market, is that our product is so different and unique that I still think it might still be 2 to 3 years ahead of its time for the industry, even being mass ready for it. We've had the success because up until now, there has never been a canned option in the alcohol world that is not sweet and not carbonated. Like, didn't exist, right? So you've had cocktails. They would maybe be not carbonated, but they were sweet. They had a lot of sugar. Then you'd have seltzers. Well, they were not sweet, but they were carbonated. We're the only ones that, if you don't like anything sweet, artificial sweetener and all that, and you also aren't a big fan of carbonation, Mom Water's pretty much your choice.
Well, I think at this point he's describing, I think we might need to break into one.